Okay, let's talk about the NES Essential Academic Skills exam. And specifically, we're going to be talking about the Subtest 3 of the NES Essential Academic Skills Assessment. And that has to deal with mathematics. And NES stands for National Evaluation Series. And if you're watching this video, I assume you're preparing for this test. And obviously, we're going to be focusing in on the math subtest 3 for this particular assessment. So we have a practice problem here that you should be able to handle pretty nicely if you're fully prepared for subtest 3 on the NES Essential Academic Skills assessment. So before we get to that problem, let me go ahead and introduce myself. My name is John. I'm the founder of Tablet Class Math. I'm also a middle and high school math teacher, and over the last several years, I've constructed many online math classes to include an NES Essential Academic Skills Math Subtest 3 prep course. So I'm going to leave a link to that in the description of this video. But all my courses that I construct, I really take a deep dive and look at, the requirements on the test, or at least the objectives that they're trying to test you at, and trying to determine what kind of math level, you really kind of need to be at in order to be kind of fully prepared for these exams. And I would say for the NES Essential Academic Skills test, uh, the math level I kind of would characterize as high school level math. Not super advanced high school level math, like advanced trigonometry and things like that. You're not likely going to see that, but definitely algebra and geometry, and of course, all the other things, um, middle school level math, elementary level math concepts, etc. But in terms of, are you going to see calculus problems on this exam? No, you're definitely not going to be seeing any calculus problems for sure. So don't stress, if you're not a math person, don't stress, trying to prepare for, advanced level pre-calculus, calculus type of concepts. But you're going to have to be pretty strong with the other stuff, fundamental algebra and geometry, etc. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and take a look at a practice problem here. Again, you should be able to handle this pretty nicely. And the way I like to do these videos is, one, I'm going to explain the problem. It's kind of self-explanatory in a little bit, in some degree, but I'll go ahead and explain the problem, and then in a moment, I'm going to give a hint, okay? And then I'm obviously going to solve the problem. So if you don't want to hear the hint, obviously pause the video. So if you think you know what to do, go ahead and do so. Now, let me go ahead and explain the problem a little more specifically. Obviously, we have a triangle, okay? And I'd like you to find this side of the triangle, okay? So we have various lengths of this type of triangle. And I'm purposely being a little bit vague because the figure speaks for itself. All right, I'd like you to find the length of this side of the triangle, okay? All right, so if you know what to do, go ahead and pause the video and break out your paper and pencil and knock it out real quick. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and give a hint. So if you don't want to hear it, go ahead and pause the video. All right, so obviously this is a triangle, okay? And I'm saying find this side of the triangle. But the key to doing this problem is recognizing that this is a special type of triangle, okay? This is what we call a right triangle, okay? A right triangle, and that's indicated by this little square thing like this, okay? So that means that this angle right there, right here, okay, this is a right angle, meaning that it's 90 degrees, okay? So you'll either see 90 degrees in one of the angles of a triangle. That would indicate it's a right triangle, or you'll have this little box like that in the corner, okay? So there's very common kind of geometric notation, with that. But here's the deal: when you're dealing with a right triangle, the first thing that needs to come into your mind is the Pythagorean theorem, and that is a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. And this theorem is definitely something that you want to commit to memory. So if you're not familiar with it, then you definitely use that as feedback. But that's an indicator that you really got a lot of math to review and cover. If you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. Okay, that's good too. So let's say for those of you right now are like, oh, I remember the theorem. then go ahead and maybe pause the video, see if you can apply it, because this is going to be the formula or the theorem, okay, that we need in order to solve this problem. So with that being said, try to go ahead and do this problem now, being that you know the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so let's go ahead and actually apply the theorem. So we have A, B, and C. So what does this mean? Well, this means it's a relationship between the sides of a right triangle. Now C, okay, we have A, B, and C. Side C is always going to be the longest side of the triangle, and that's going to be opposite the right angle here. Okay, so you just visually look and say, okay, this is the longest side of the triangle. That's referred to as the hypotenuse, but it's always going to be the C value in the Pythagorean theorem. And then obviously the A and B sides can be, this could be A, or this could be A, this could be B, this could be, it doesn't make a difference. These are the other sides. The main thing is you just got to identify what side is the C side. So here, let's go ahead and say we have A, let's call this A, all right, and this would be our B side, and this would be our C side. So A would be equal to 2, all right, B is equal to X, and C is equal to the square root of 12, okay? And it could be B, or sorry, A could be equal to X, and B can equal to 2. It's not going to change how this problem, the solution to it. The main thing is knowing to be able to identify the hypotenuse. All right, so this is the way this looks. If we go ahead and plug in these values into the Pythagorean theorem, it's going to be 2 squared, right? We're just substituting the A for 2. 2 squared plus B squared, or X squared, is equal to C squared, or the square root of 12 squared, okay? Now at this point, I'm going to encourage you to pause the video and see where you're at with your math skills and see if you can solve this equation for X, okay? Because these are like little problems within problems here, okay? There's a lot of sub skill sets that you need to be able to solve a problem like this. Again, but not overly, this isn't overly complicated math. For some of you might find this difficult, and I can appreciate that, but this is stuff that you definitely need to be comfortable with on this particular exam. So let's go ahead and just solve this now. So 2 squared is 4. X squared, we can write as X squared. And the square root of 12 squared is going to be 12, okay? So anytime you're taking the square of a square root, okay, like so, the square root goes away, so it's just the number, okay? So now at this point, I can go ahead and solve for X by subtracting 4 from both sides of the equation. And I get the nice equation, X squared is equal to 8. So to solve for X, X is going to be equal to the square root of 8, positive or negative. So we're dealing with distance here. So the length of this side of the triangle is going to be the square root of 8. Now, of course, I can go to my calculator and get decimals for this and simplify these things, but this is the answer. So this is an application of the Pythagorean theorem, or understanding right triangles. Right triangles are extremely important, not only in geometry. I mean, they in mathematics in general, and just in a lot of areas. So you definitely have to know the Pythagorean theorem and how to use it. So, to repeat myself, okay, well, first of all, let me say this much. If you got this problem right without, any assistance, and you're like, oh, okay, I know what to do, boom, and that's awesome, okay? If you forgot the Pythagorean theorem, but could do it after that, that's pretty good as well. I will say, in terms of these theorems and formulas, I'm not quite sure when you actually take this test what formula sheet may or may not be given to you. Okay. However, with that being said, I would just suggest that, like for the Pythagorean theorem, you just commit this to your long-term memory. Just so don't assume, oh, I won't have to memorize that because it might be given to me on a formula sheet on the test. Not with this particular theorem. This one's too important. So I would definitely suggest you just remember and kind of keep that in your back pocket. Okay, so but anyways, if you forgot the theorem but you knew how to apply the theorem, that's good too. If you were completely lost, don't panic. Use it as feedback, and start really getting immersed in mathematics. All right, this is an important exam. Okay, just by your title, essential academic skills. All right, these are essential academic skills for all educators for those states that are using this particular exam. So not every state uses the NES format. They have their other versions of essential academic skills, but it's the test is called something else, but it's essentially the same thing. They want to make sure that hey, you have the basic reading, writing, and math skills. Make sure you do what you have to do in not, so you could pass this Subtest 3 on this particular exam. All right, so with that being said, let's go and wrap up this video. Again, I'm going to leave a link in the description of this video to my Subtest 3 math test prep course. Very, very comprehensive. Can definitely benefit you if you're not comfortable with math right now. If you're new to my YouTube channel, hopefully consider subscribing. I've been on YouTube for several years. I already have hundreds of videos on my channel that could help you out. So that's some stuff you can check out there. But I'm posting new stuff all the time, so you might want to consider subscribing. If you enjoyed the video, definitely appreciate it. A thumbs up and leave me some feedback. What's your goal? As an educator, you're going for a particular level, elementary school, middle school, high school? Are you going from high school to college to the classroom? Or maybe you're retired from one career and you're becoming a teacher later in life, which I think is always interesting and, awesome because I think the better mix of people, different experiences, it just makes, a school, the community that much more, robust. Okay. But the one thing I say in all my teacher videos is, half of being a teacher is just getting through all these exams, your professional knowledge, getting your degree, and all that stuff. And that's never going to end, by the way, too, because once you get past this certification and you get into actual teaching, there'll be another certification exam that you're probably going to need to take, and you're likely going to continue to with your education. So if you don't have a master's degree and you remain as a teacher over the long run, you're likely going to get a master's and maybe even go beyond that. Okay, so education, studying, learning, testing, all that stuff is going to be just part of the deal as an educator. But what I like to stress is, don't judge teaching if you're going to be, if you're new to teaching after you actually get into the classroom with students and parents and administration. That's where the real fun starts, okay? And it just takes experience. And this stuff you just can't learn in a book. So latch on to those veteran teachers, okay? Those people have been doing it for a long time successfully. They can really, really help you out, okay? And you're going to have to seek them out, right? Ask them, hey, how should I do this? What do you think of this? How do you, and really just get into their brains and approach all successful teachers, even people you find their teaching style different than how you would teach. You can always learn from all these successful teachers, and you don't have to be a copycat of them as well. I always say, it's like, hey, this person, you can have two teachers, completely opposite personalities, teaching styles, teaching the same subject, highly successful, and the students love them. So you're going to have to find your own way, but that's just going to require experience, or there's just no way of getting around that. But first things first. First things is you got to get you through this NES exam. So with that being said, I definitely wish you all the best. Thank you for your time and have a great day.